VCR Redux will begin in T-5 minutes.
What the fart is VCR Redux?
It's the show where we take movies from the VCR era and bring them back to today.
Well, how do we do that?
Well, we start by talking about a VHS classic, and usually you'll say something like,
I haven't been this uncomfortable since I watched Meatballs 4, Meatballs to the Rescue with my parents. Oh yeah, or you'll say something stupid like,
I wish we lived in a world where the Garbage Pail Kids made as many movies as the Muppets.
but I know you'll always see it through with a positive attitude.
I hate this movie, I hate being here, I hate all of this. Oh, Jamie Kennedy. Oh, well, shit. Well, let's go for this.
He was in Son of Mask. This is genius.
I am not a gamer. I'd rather read books.
Ian's like the old lady that's like, I got video game monsters, I got movie monsters in here.
As long as we respect the passion and the artistry that went into these films.
You know, obviously they took this movie, it's 93, right? You're like, what do you want to see in your Mario movie? And they're like, oh, we want it to be grim, we want a lot of death, we want tits and ass.
Oh, and then we start the pitch ideas with modern day sequels like
Weekend at Bernie's 3, Cocaine Mountain.
Sometimes we take it kind of seriously.
I'll watch a Paul Verhoeven alien movie.
oh my gosh, that alien will have more vaginas than anything you've ever seen in your life. Sometimes this Hawaiian shirted fool will pitch something stupid like,
I would take out the virtual reality stuff and just have it be about Jeff Fahey mowing the lawn.
Sometimes the best pitches come from the live chat.
Alex Bonafonte also pitches Grand Theft Starfighter Vice Galaxy.
wait, I thought I had the best pitches.
And what happens at the end of the movie? The ultimate fart. The fart that the warmth goes like all the way down to your socks.
The only rules are, there are no rules. Sometimes we cross over franchises.
Only the truck from Tango and Cash can kill Christine.
And sometimes we travel back in time.
Like 1995 is missing a good Universal Soldier sequel.
But you never know what we're gonna pitch next.
What do you want? Do you want like? Do you want Daniel Stern behind like a muzzled mask? Like
We all know it should be Pesci behind the mask, and like underneath the mask, you should hear him going like fritter, 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 fritter.
you are so proud of yourself for that one. I can't stand you.
I would also love to see a Charles Bronson version of It's a Wonderful Life.
What?
Direct to DVD.
If you made a shot-for-shot remake of Scarface with Goofy as Al Pacino, it would be amazing. Gosh, you need me to be the bad guy.
It's like the worst 1987 Disney movie Disney ever made. Schlongo, directed by Jim Wynorski.
Like, I would watch a whole bowl of that.
Do the John Holmes story. Add a comedy spin to it.
Wow, the Wonderland murders are so funny.
I'd watch it on my mobile.
Something happens and he goes into a coma. He gets like, hit by a car or something. I know this is dark, but like, bear with me. He's got to go on.
Did you just go like Hard to Kill with Ferris Bueller?
I'd watch it on my iPad.
If you want to just like throw in the kitchen sink, I mean, it all works. Like Alien versus Predator versus RoboCop, like that works. Alien versus Predator versus Terminator, that works.
Alien versus Predator versus Ernest, that works.
That works.
I respect everything you just said. I need David Silver and Terry Silver and the Sloan family all learning the Quicksilver, but they're doing it in Breakin' 3 Hydraulic Boogaloo. And it's underwater. It's gonna be incredible. Eat your fucking shit out, James Cameron. I got the underwater movie you can't touch.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever heard in my life.
Mr. Toxie Goes to Washington.
My ass would be in the theater tomorrow.
If Harley Quinn gets 7 movies, then Tank Girl should get at least 70.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life.
I mean, why should we even bother with Look Who's Talking when Air Bud is soaring to new highs?
All I know is I want Danny McBride.
I'd want him doing anything other than writing Halloween movies, honestly. Anything that keeps him away from that fucking job, I'm for it.
Just let him talk out of his butt. I don't care how he does it.
I'd rather not.
Austin Powers doing the Macarena.
That would be the opening credits. Come on.
But we have not yet had Die Hard on a half pipe. What if John McClane Jr. was a pro skateboarder and also an avid machine gun enthusiast? Skate or Die Hard.
What up, virtual people? Welcome to the 163rd episode of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2024. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, making his VCR debut, proud Flat Point High parent and breakdancing champion Guy Blank is on the show. Well said, Guy. And rounding out this righteous crew, returning to the VCR after a long absence, Bobby Master is back on the show.
Hey.
What a star-studded occasion. We are here today to set our sights on Snipes, to go crazy for Swayze, and to help Ian take his final step toward queenhood. That's right, folks. This world needs two Wong Foo too, and we're here to give it to you. But before Guy tells Ian he's merely a boy in a dress in a gas station, we got a dish on how Tu Wong Foo came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course that goes double for you at home and everyone watching the live chat. Was it love at first Laserdisc, Vital VHS? Hit us up in the chat and let us know how Tu Wong Foo came into your lives. So, Bobby, when did you first get Tu Wong Foo?
Well, I remember very clearly, actually. I was like 12. I remember being in Suncoast Video, and I got 3 VHS tapes, and I got Mrs. Doubtfire, The Breakfast Club, and Tu Wong Foo. Because the actress who played Bobby Lee was in this show with Christina Applegate, and she vaccinated me, and I saw, oh, this is the only other thing she's ever done besides this. I gotta check this out. And much to my surprise,
what was the Christina Applegate thing she was in?
have you ever seen Jessie?
No.
It was a show from 98 to 2000, made right after.
Oh, it's starting to ring a bell. It's starting to ring a little bell.
Plays a single mom who like works at a bar, was made by the creators of Friends. Well, thanks to Jennifer Milmore, who was in that show, who played Bobby Lee in this movie, I went to check this movie out, and like it definitely changed my life because it was like my first like real introduction to like drag queens and stuff like that. Like that was the first time I've ever seen anything like that. So,
wow. So how old were you at that time? Like what age? Are we talking like 10, 12?
12 or 13. Yeah.
12 or 13. Wow, and that was the first time you'd seen that? Like being younger than me, I'm surprised. I would have thought that like just growing up a little bit later and like a little bit hopefully of a more progressive world that like that would have been more commonplace. Because this movie was definitely not the first time I saw drag queens, and I was even younger when it came out. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I mean, I'm sure I've seen them and stuff, but this was like the first like movie like the focal point.
Well, that is fucking absolutely makes sense because there's still movies you can count on one hand about like, drag queens, that are like made by Hollywood studios at least.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like that's the first time I saw like, like that's where they're the focal point of the movie. Like they're not supposed to walk by in the background to laugh at, you know.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's like prior to this, characters in drag were treated with the delicacy that like characters in blackface were treated with, honestly. Like you'd see like Kurt Russell would pop in drag for like a second. It would be like, what a hysterical laugh we play this for in Tango,
What a wacky kind of guy.
Yeah, like, well, how ridiculous is this? It was the 80s version of the pie in the face. In the 90s you had the pie in the face and we were like, oh, come on, what are we doing?
I always go back to, it's always John Candy being divine. I mean, like Armed and Dangerous.
Oh, that's right. I forget about that one.
Like that's kind of like that's the exposure you got, or Mrs. Doubtfire, which is, I guess I don't even know if Mrs. Doubtfire is related.
That doesn't count. That's a gender bender. That's in the Tootsie, just one of the guys type of cat. It's a whole different genre.
Yeah.
I guess I retract my statement because I had been watching John Waters films by this point.
True. Yeah.
But I mean, like this is like those weren't Hollywood movies. Like this was this was like a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
With like very like Divine was like groundbreaking. Like nobody's ever done that before. But this is like 3 like straight actors who were like very big in Hollywood already.
Yeah.
True, yeah. I mean, an incredible, like, that's one of the things I've always loved about this movie is that they got these guys who were huge. You know, Patrick Swayze was a gigantic movie star. Wesley Snipes was a gigantic movie star. They were like action stars. You know, there was a lot of like action stars at the time that you just know wouldn't have fucking gone anywhere near this. Like, you're not Van Damme's not gonna do this. Stallone, Schwarzenegger, like those guys take this a goal. They take themselves so seriously. You know what I mean? They would never consider doing anything like this. And if they did, it would, like I said, it would have been handled, you know, just so poorly. But I don't know. I've always appreciated the casting. Like, even Leguizamo, who I normally am not a big Leguizamo fan, I still never get over the shit he pulls in all the Brian De Palma movies, but he's fantastic. And like, this is like, I love Leguizamo in this movie.
Oh, genius.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine in the 90s if the Academy wasn't so the Academy?
I know
'Cause
that.
it is what it was then. I mean, you know, like, but like, if this had been a role that came out today, I mean, I guarantee John Leguizamo would have been nominated for an Academy Award. That performance is incredible. I mean,
you know,
I
yeah.
have my,
I
I
mean,
have
you could
my
say the
issues-
same about Snipes and
I have my
Swayze,
issues
though.
with Swayze and Snipes, but I think John Leguizamo, like, Chi-Chi is a real person in this movie. I mean, like that, like whatever character John Leguizamo created is phenomenal in this role.
I think there's a little bit of Ninja Turtles, what I call like the Ninja Turtle Seinfeld aspect of this sort of crew, that like everyone's going to identify a little bit more with one of the three of them.
Oh, sure,
You know,
yeah.
I think there's going to be people that relate to Wesley Snipes, to Noxema. I think there's going to be people that relate to Chi-Chi. There's going to be people that relate to Vita. So, you know, I think, and for multiple reasons, you know, and not just like the obvious, like, you know, cultural or age, you know, generational or anything like that, but just sort of like who they are to each other, really. And that's part of the magic of this, you know, that's why this movie's kind of, you know, a movie we talk about all the time, Ian, Coupe de Ville. This is sort of like the 90s version of Coupe de
Get outta
Ville. And
Get outta
this is
here.
the one time the 90s got something better than the 80s, you know, is when they redid Coupe de Ville as Tu Wong Fu. Because I mean, as much as I love Coupe de Ville, that's a once a fucking 15, 20, 30 year kind of movie, whereas Tu Wong Fu is like a 2-3 times a year. I got like, this movie is, you know, Bobby and I talk about this all the time, that like we have the same comfort movies, I think, and it's like, you know, movies like this, it's Beaches, it's Showgirls, you know, it's a weird random set of movies that are our comfort films.
Get out of here, Beaches.
I
Dude,
wouldn't
Beaches is
have
such a comfort film.
my comfort zone film anymore just because I'm an emotional person. I can't watch that without bawling my eyes out.
Oh, Beaches?
Now, yes.
Yes.
But Showgirls, like that, I could just like watch like and like happily fall asleep
We
too.
all
Like
cry watching Showgirls.
alone.
Oh man. Well, when did young Iowa Ian first come upon this film? What age are we talking here?
So I would have rented this from in Wellman, Iowa, at Slagle's Pharmacy. It was the old school. They actually had a soda shop fountain, you know, top where you could get a milkshake. They had video rentals in the front, in the window. They had, you know, toys in the back.
How very Richie Cunningham of you.
Oh, it's the Americana Pharmacy. It was amazing.
I want to go there. Is it still there?
I think it's Slagle's is still there. I don't know.
Road trip.
But I remember, you know, I would go there, and this is probably, my mother had because I kept getting fines at the library. She had cut off my ability to check out movies from the library. So if I ever had, you know, $2 to spare, I'd go to Slagle's and I'd rent movies. And I remember renting To Wong Foo because I had known in my mind, you know, obviously Wesley Snipes was Passenger 57, you know, and you know, Drop Zone, and, you know, like those were like, oh, that's Wesley Snipes. So I'm like, oh, Wesley Snipes action movie, awesome. Not what To Wong Foo, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar was. But I remember just, I was young enough that I didn't really understand it, other than these guys are pretending to be women. I didn't understand all the complexities of, what the movie was talking about.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I loved John Leguizamo in this. I remember even at that age, I'm like, this is a funny character. Like, this is a good, it wasn't until I got older that I really understood, like, oh, the bravery of this movie and where it went. And I know that for years this movie has its haters. It has it was weird. It kind of did this, like, it was brave to begin with, and then it kind of got into the category of, well, that's offensive zone, but now it's kind of come back into a bravery again kind of mold as it's grown over the years.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get too political or
You
too
should.
I mean,
Of all the movies, Chris, this is going
right,
to
all
be the
right.
political
Okay, I
movie.
think I know what you mean. It's that,
This is
at
gonna
one
be
point
the
it was
one.
brave, and then you got to the point where, they people would say, for example, oh, well, we should have used real drag queens and not
Yes,
movie
yes,
stars.
yes.
And that's really fine if you want, the movie to be made by New World Pictures and to, come out and show on fucking Sci-Fi at 3 in the morning, or you know what I mean? Like, but you want people to go
I
see the
agree.
movie, you need movie stars. And at that point in time, there were not movie stars that were famously drag queens, or no, that's just, I don't even know if that's a thing yet now. And so
Something to say about that though. I have like a something lighthearted to bring to the
please,
table.
yes, by all means.
So there were like in the beginning scene, those were all drag queens. Those were all professional drag queens,
There you
mostly
go.
from the city. One of them, Coco Peru, is somebody that I know. I've gone
Oh
to see
man.
her and I like talked to her multiple times, and like she's very famous, still like performing in this day. Like she's the one who said she was going to take herself to Sweden, where she'll no doubt win the Nobel Prize. But
Yes.
so she recently posted, like not recently, but like a while ago, she posted on Instagram. Patrick Swayze bought all of the drag queens a wrap gift, and I don't know if it was like a watch from Tiffany's or a charm from Tiffany's, but he bought them all something from Tiffany's.
Aw, that's amazing.
Which like a little like a little lightheartedness, like Coco still like harbors like great memories from the film, so like that's something
I
to think.
think I think Swayze is one of those guys that like everyone who works with ended up kind of loving, except for Jennifer Grey, of course, famously. Um, but he has this. I remember Rob Lowe wrote about it in his book, where he's like, we're doing The Outsiders, and then this guy, last minute add on to the cast comes on, and everyone can't stand this guy because he's way too gung ho, and his name's Tom Cruise, and like whatever, no one likes him. And then this other guy comes in who's so fucking charismatic and gung ho that he makes Tom Cruise look like he's been lobotomized, but like it's in a way that everyone loves this guy instantly. It's not in the Tom Cruise way, and that was Patrick Swayze. And these are the guys that came on after everyone was cast. But so I've just always had this theory that if you work with Swayze, he's just a great guy. He would have been
Wait,
just
it was
someone that
supposed to
you.
be Tom Cruise?
No, I'm talking about The Outsiders. They're both in that
Oh,
movie.
The Outside. Oh, okay. I think it was Tom Cruise in this movie. I was like, what?
No. Sorry if I mumbled over
No,
that
that's
detail.
my bad.
But anyway, I will get to my first time seeing Wong Foo. But first, I do want to check in with the live chat. Not super busy today, but I do see Angie Saunders, Whiskey 41, Mikey Riffraff, Caitlin Allman, America's Next Top Model, all in the live chat. So thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Angie Saunders, the mashup genius, starting off the live chat with "Ready or Not, Here Comes Mama." Does everything have to be a joke with you? This is not a masquerade. Can't I just stay a princess? They are much younger than queens. So the quotes are flowing quite furiously already. Whiskey 401 says we need Ian and drag for this episode. I kind of half expected it, honestly. Ian really, he did his hair up for the 50s episode. He occasionally he'll go Hawaiian to make fun of me. But Angie Saunders says, "You too, Whiskey. I see you as Noxzema." Mikey Riffraff saying, "Angie tied me to a chair and wouldn't let me leave until I watched this on VHS." Again, Mike and Angie, both mashup geniuses, so be sure to follow them on Facebook. Angie Saunders says she saw this first on VHS, then cable, then DVD. So I, like you, have proudly been watching this movie across several formats. Although my first time, I believe I was about 19 years old. I missed this one on its initial run. And I put this under this weird category that I like to call movies from 1996 that proved that everything was all right for a minute. Right?
This was 95.
95, but to me it's like late 95, 96. It's like I was in 6th grade, so I consider it 96, right?
I got that. And I can
but thank you, that is true. I even did that research watching it again last night with Steven Zangief Anderson, who's supposed to be on this show, before Guy Blank rudely stole his spot. Way to go, Guy. But I watched all these movies that came out around 95, 96, all the 6th grade movies when I was like 18, 19, 20-ish, with a girlfriend I had at the time, or the first girlfriend I had when I moved out to the East Coast. And her parents were very wealthy, so everywhere she lived, she always had the loaded cable package. And we watched Get Shorty, 4 Rooms, The Birdcage, and 2 Wong Foo. And they were all movies that I missed initially, and they were all movies that I really enjoyed. And I was like, wait a minute, like there was a little bit of a moment for 90s culture when it was like, okay, it wasn't like, it's like we were going to be all right, but then all the 80s nostalgia set in and things were great. That's the way to go anyways. But I really love this movie. I think of all that whole pack is the one that probably connected with me the most and has become the most of a staple. Like I still love all those movies. And the appearance of Robin Williams makes me swear.
Oh, that scene, that made it for me though.
Well, that makes me just think that this movie takes place in the same universe as The Birdcage. Like it just has to. Like I don't care what anyone says. It's a shared universe.
I never put that together, but I do love that. I do love that idea.
I just think like it has to, because the 90s, like, give us what we need, and that's honestly what we need to heal right now. And like I'll get a little political again just to say that like this was I'm proud to have been a part of this time when you could have these movie stars do this and it wasn't a fuss. Like if this came out now, it'd be like, not my passenger 57, not my ghost,
well,
not
yeah,
my pest, or whatever the fuck movie they want to cling to,
That did come out around then, though. I mean, like, that's the thing. This movie did have its
Yeah, they were in their heyday, and that's why it was such a bold choice for them to do this movie. I love, there's so much about it. And even, like, for people like Stockard Channing and I want to say her name's Blythe Danner, the mom from Meet the Parents, who's in this, the mother-in-law. Is it Blythe Danner?
Mom.
What's that?
Gwyneth Paltrow's mom.
Holy shit. Wow, that's true. I forgot about that. You've told me that before, Bobby. That's the only reason I like kind of remembered that. But Whiskey41 commenting though, saying it did seem like things were going to be all right in the 90s. So I'm not alone in this assessment.
The 90s were a fascinating decade. The longer I've gotten away from it, the more I used to think, well, that was a boring decade. Like I was there, but
I'd rather it be boring than me living through multiple like history lessons. God damn it!
Hey, absolutely, yeah.
Let me get a breather of boredom to where I can be like, oh yeah, like I can just go to the airport and not worry about it.
You know what? We were all bored enough to make pop culture that much better back then. We remember the shit we had in the 90s, like just as kids, like just Nickelodeon alone was a treasure trove of entertainment and fucking great times.
Agreed. We were children. So that was our demographic.
That's true. That's true. But I just feel like, every generation, like even take Nickelodeon, right? They got, they went from Ren and Stimpy to fucking like Drake and Josh to fucking, Hannah Montana or whatever the hell should be. Sweet Life of Zack and Cody kind of, like, I don't know. I just feel like we had the cooler shit back in the day. Everyone's always gonna feel like that. I know. Old Coke's better than new Coke.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be that. But I mean, to think about that, I mean, really, this movie, what a brave effing film. I mean, it really, if you really look back for this movie to come out then, I mean, the funny part is they took it into Comedy Zone, which I think was the only way that a movie like this was ever going to get made, because as we were kind of talking pre-show, there was that kind of like, oh, look, here's John Candy in a dress. Ho, 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 ho. Here's Bill Murray in a dress. Ah, ha, ha, ha. I get,
Well,
like,
yeah, there's two ways it was played back before this movie, honestly. It was played either we are going to cast, the most obvious man with 5 o'clock shadow and, like just the delicacy, of this. We're gonna cast John Goodman and tell him not to shave for a week, and we're gonna, you know what I mean? That's about how delicately we handle this in movies prior to Wong Foo. And the only other alternative was to take a supermodel, someone like Angie Everhart or like Naomi Campbell or someone like that, and to say at the last minute the reveal is you're gonna dub their voice and be like, "Oh, come on, you didn't know." Like,
Yeah,
there was the only two ways they ever played trans characters in the 90s prior to this, and it's rampant all over movies. I guess the third way would be Angela from Sleepaway Camp or Crying Game or, something
from
like that.
Bachelor Party.
Was there a trans character in Bachelor Party? Am I
Yeah,
forgetting?
when he's standing up.
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
fuck.
but like,
Yeah.
but this, it's like that's how it's kind of played. And this was actually, I mean, there's some serious stuff in this movie. And to the point of watching,
sure.
I was watching an interview with John Leguizamo talking about, his portrayal of Chi-Chi. I mean, he really like wanted to make this character believable. It wanted to represent kind of
He
like
did.
somebody in his family, and talking about the diversity of the shades of skin color, and within his family, the lightening of makeup, over a darker complexion. I mean, like he did a lot of brave stuff in this movie, and they both, all three of them did. But think about the executive who greenlit this, and really put this together. I mean, that was not going to be viewed well at all.
What part wasn't going to be viewed well at all?
Just the green lighting of this movie. I mean, having to take that in front of the board of, was this Universal?
I think it was
Hey,
Warner. I don't think it would have been as tough as you think. Back in the day, you were allowed to have medium budget movies, and most movies didn't make money. It's always been the case. And so as long as you didn't spend crazy money, then you were okay, I think. It was a comfortable loss. It was an acceptable loss, and like you take a swing on one of these, and you hope that one of them turns into My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and you make like a shitload of money on something that didn't cost. I'm sure Swayze and Snipes didn't get their full quote to do this movie, whatever they were getting paid at the time. I'm sure it was many millions of dollars per movie. I'm sure Snipes didn't get paid Passenger 57 money to do this, and I'm sure Swayze didn't get Ghost money to do
I don't
this.
think anybody ever gets paid Passenger 57 kind of money. What a good movie.
We'll have to revisit the Passenger
God
57
dang, what a
on
great
VCR one of these days.
is.
But so we are almost at pitch time. It is just about time to envision where we could see this franchise going. And I will say before we get there, obviously, we want to be respectful of Patrick Swayze's not being here with us anymore, but there's still nothing against a good old-fashioned time travel pitch. There's no rule that says you can't say, hey, I want to pitch the version that came out in 1997 or 96 or 98 or 99 or whatever. I would have been very happy to see this go on, or to even see this being like a pass the torch kind of thing. Like every couple of years we get another To Wong Foo, and it's another set of, queens like on the road, or, they don't have to all be road movies. Like I said, there's no rules. So For everyone in the live chat and for everyone on the panel, what do you want to see in a 2 Wong Foo sequel?
I mean, I would like to see what happened next with them because, like, I like to imagine that Stalker Channing, like, left her husband for real and, like, got the fuck up out of there. And I like to think that everybody else I want to know what happened with the townspeople just as much as I want to know what happened with Vita, Noxzema, and Chi-Chi, you know, because, like, they came into that town and changed those people's lives in the course of a weekend.
They do. There's some I often wonder if there's cut scenes because the one criticism I will give the movie
Oh, there has to be.
No,
is
there's
that like
on the DVD there's like 10, 15 like deleted like extended scenes.
oh shit me, I need that. But
I wa-
anyway, because there's gotta be something to explain like this. There's basically a gang of like roving would-be rapists in this town that they just kind of convert to like good guys by the end of the movie. Like the way they just like these guys like lurk and circle around Chi-Chi, and you know, it's like giving the worst kind of vibes you can possibly give. But then the end of the movie, oh, they're all good guys now, you know? It's like, I don't know if we earned that transformation. I don't know if we earned that character arc so much.
It is crazy how like that's just like not even mentioned again. How like it was just like, oh, they didn't just try to like rape her or anything.
Yep, no, none of that didn't happen. No. We're all nice small town folks here. But there are pitches in the chat, so maybe we'll start there. Because Whiskey41 has a pitch. His pitch: brace yourselves. Justice is gonna get fabulous as Kevin Spacey, Danny Masterson, and P. Diddy star in To the Warden. Thanks for the baby oil and ice packs, Steven Seagal. Wow, I didn't see Seagal coming in there. But wow, that was quite a title, Whiskey. And kudos to you for capitalizing on the I don't know what to call it, the Diddy meme of the day. But those memes are I will admit are cracking me up right now. Angie Saunders with a pitch though. Hair pitch: at the funeral of Vita, Noxzema and Chi-Chi set out to look for a new set of drag queen stars in honor of Vita and Julie Newmar. They come across Channing Tatum as Cinnamon John Cena. Oh, so Channing Tatum as Cinnamon, John Cena as Big Dolly, and Common as Chocolate Thunder, and help them prepare for the World Drag Queen competition. Wow, that's a very well thought out pitch, Angie Saunders. I really love that. Angie, again, the mashup genius. Thank you so much for tuning in as often as you do. So I've thought about that, like, you know, who could be the guys now? Who could, you know, who are these people that you would want to see in this role now? And it's tough because, you know, we don't really have the same, I feel like, caliber of movie star. We're not living in the movie star era. What? Say it again?
Oh, I know, but I have a pitch, but it would include this as part of the pitch. So.
Oh, well, please, the floor is yours, Senator.
Well, so in my version of it, which is called, hold on, let me make sure I get the name right here. To Wong Foo, thanks for everything, Lee Merriweather.
Oh, cute. I see what you did there.
You saw what I did there.
Yeah.
Whack. That's right. She was one before Julie Newmar.
I thought maybe generationally you would have to say thanks for everything, Michelle Pfeiffer.
Even better. Cannot lie to you. Even better. I do like that. Bruno Mars does the theme.
Oh my God, thanks for everything, Anne Hathaway.
That's too soon.
I hate too soon. I'm with Chris. Too soon. But Michelle Pfeiffer, that's kind of funny. But so Patrick Swayze has gone and has died, and now Chi-Chi and what's Snipes' character's name? I can't remember.
Noxzema Jackson.
What was it?
Noxzema Jackson.
Noxzema. That's what it was. For some odd reason I wanted to say Alcohol Jackson. I knew that wasn't. But
affront to my delicate nature.
So Noxzema and Chi-Chi have to do kind of the final wishes of
fuck me, you're actually making this seem like something I want to watch.
Right? Yeah. And they have to go on a cross-country trip. And it's literally it's like a recreation, but for fun.
But now they've got to bring a third one along. There has to be
I've
some
got
new
it.
pup that they're grooming. Yeah.
Hugh Jackman.
Okay, he's not that young, but I like it.
But
Hugh Jackman is.
that man will take that role.
You're right.
And make that into something so powerful.
Fuck, I'm down on this. Yeah, I'm 100% in on that, Ian. I'm not gonna lie.
But
It's
I also
rare.
but I also want to be respectful too. And so I honestly like Laverne Cox would be somebody to absolutely consider, or somebody actually. And if it was made today, you would have to be respectful, and you would have to have proper representation in the film. But I also don't want to do a disservice by not having Leguizamo and Wesley Snipes, because to be honest,
Yeah.
that kind of would negate the bravery of what I think this movie was in the 90s, for them to do that. So by being respectful, but also adding a little bit of modern approach to it all, I think that would be a really fantastic movie.
I love that.
Whether they have to deal with going back to that town or having to deal with, more. I mean, let's be honest. This movie as a sequel would be fantastic to do representation in a world that not only is making America great again. I mean, that's also in a world post RuPaul's Drag Race. Like this, we absolutely need a movie like this nowadays. To hopefully maybe even bridge that gap.
I agree. I mean, I think.
And I know we don't get political on this.
No, something. I don't think it is political. I think it's cultural. I think it's part of who we are as pop culture. You like that. Let me put it this way: a movie like To Wong Foo, well aimed, can do so much more than like any political meme or half the fucking protest parades that are out there. Like you plant a seed in pop culture, and like there is someone in the chat who says Belle goes by the name of Belle. So at the time it took a little getting used to seeing Patrick Swayze in drag, but I love the movie. So for someone like Belle, like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would guess that's a pretty profound impact, that like this normalized something for you that wasn't normal. And I think it probably did that for millions of people. And I think that is not without its merit. That's not, that is something that's of service to, America, for a better way of putting it, or the world. It's a service to us all.
And get this. I mean, we're also dealing with now, if it's set today, you also have the addition of ageism. I mean, what is it for, Chi-Chi and Noxzema to be getting older into the but it's because he took it the funny with the Linda Tripp. I get it. But well, one thing I thought of, this is actually, I thought would be kind of interesting for the Hugh Jackman character. What if he's somebody who decided in nowadays America, they stopped doing the drag because he was tired of the bullying. He was tired of the having to live a life that wasn't being accepted. And you could have
sounds like a really downer movie, man.
No, not necessarily. But the idea is that by the end, that character would embrace it again, because now we're seeing the acceptability of society and how we are allowing it to be, more just aware.
I'll just tell you straight, that last pitch you hit out of the fucking park, and that one you just whiffed. I think that one didn't do it for me.
I'm just saying, but I would love to see the struggle of that. And being that it would be a comedy, you can hit with the seriousness in a funny way that allows for people to kind of take, which is what this movie did to begin with.
I don't know. What say you, Bobby? What do you want to see in the To Wong Foo 2?
I don't know. Like I said, it would definitely like have to start off with like the acknowledgement of like Vita Bohem's absence because you can't recast that character.
Unless we had a time machine, if you want to go back and say, hey, what if we still had Swayze and I'm making this in 1997? You can go that route. We do it all the time on VCR.
I guess so. Well, if they did that, I would want them to like, I don't know, I guess like see what was next on the horizon. Like they're in Hollywood, like now what? Like I would hope that
Their
they would
life
like,
in LA, yeah.
I would hope that they would at least like Stockard Channing would make an appearance of anybody from the old town. Like I feel like Stockard Channing would be appropriate. She got out of the town, maybe like now
So
she's fabulously.
I'm getting a little bit of a Cocoon the Return and like a Sister Act Back in the Habit kind of vibe, where it's like a new setting, but you get the whole gang back together.
And Cocoon the Return. I don't understand this, Chris Stiles. We have been friends for a lot of years now, and you are obsessed with Cocoon the Return. Just don't understand it with this man.
Hume Cronin, man, he does it for me. It's the redemption of Hume Cronin. So just, you know, you got to have some respect for that. Put some respect on that man's name.
If like I feel like if it was the whole like without if it was made like present day, like I don't think I would want to see them like going to look for like new drag queens. Like I feel like it's like one would stumble up into place, you know, like they wouldn't go looking for one, but like one would like they would find their way into the group. Is what I'm saying. So like I don't think they like, oh, we need to go find something to replace it. Like now you don't like, but like someone comes along and they're like, oh yeah, like I don't know. I'm not a script writer.
No, I could see. I mean, it's.
I would love a cameo of Nathan Lane as his Birdcage character.
Give me that shared universe. I mean,
I think that'd be great.
Fantastic.
I don't know why, but I need Nathan Lane in this movie. I need
fantastic.
Nathan Lane in a lot of movies. But
I need Nathan Lane in like every movie. He's fucking fantastic. But there is a pitch in the live chat, and it comes from some different people out there. Not who you would expect, I should say, from Whiskey 41 with a pitch that you might expect from a certain Golds code. But his pitch, Shane McDermott, Seth Green, and Jacob Vargas are on a road trip and get their caddy stolen by a gang of local teens. A kind group of drag queens helps them hunt down the thieves who are also the goddamn preps in Dragborn. You know something? I love it. I think if you add rollerblading to Wong Foo, they get to LA and there's rollerblading out there, and that's where all the preps are. You have the airborne Wong Foo verse, like, oof. Yeah, you can do no wrong in that. And I also no. There's no misstep when it comes to
anything related to airborne is a misstep. Anybody associated with airborne is a misstep. Anything remotely, even the words air and born, separate, apart, there's still some issue with it. All right, I'm just saying.
Ian speaks for himself and himself alone, not endorsed by Fandom Spotlite or its parent or affiliate companies. I'm just saying rollerblades are always great. Is there another, is there something, like else to explore in this movie? Like, I don't do this a lot, but what if there was, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, what if there was like a Wong Foo video game or a board game or something? Like, could you go that route? That where it's just wild. Like, it's totally wild, but sometimes you got to think like that.
I don't really see the Super Nintendo version of To Wong Foo, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar.
You'd have to take some liberties, of course. It'd be like the Back to the Future game where you're fighting
where he's shooting bees.
Yeah, exactly, and throwing pies. But something, you're punching out locals. At least there's a fight.
I would absolutely buy it, but I don't know if it would be any good. But that doesn't it in my life.
That would be in the landfill along with ET from Atari.
No, it would be great.
I mean, the one thing I was gonna say is if you retcon this kind of back then, is what if somebody was brave enough to do this as, okay, hear me out. I don't like the movie, but the style and the director Remember the movie Kids?
I love that
course.
movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Imagine if that person did a serious version of To Wong Foo, where it's not a
man.
comedic movie, but it was a dramatic movie.
Almost like a Soderbergh type of film.
Yeah,
Actually, Ian, I really like that because I was actually thinking that earlier. Like, you get a little bit of their obviously traumatic backstories, but not enough to really know like what happened.
Yeah.
And I feel like if like they were to like revisit, like not like if Patrick Swayze was here, like Chris said, like a few years later, but like you would see like Patrick Swayze's parents like disowned him, and he went back and like she took one look at him and turned right the fuck back around. Like, what happened before that? Like, how did and like Chi Chi, like when she's on her way to the competition, her family's throwing things at her from the window. Like, what happened? I want to know.
But that's what I'm saying. There's a very interesting dramatic version of this movie that I almost
the Breakfast Club almost. You want the Breakfast Club version?
Honestly, yeah, because
they bare their souls a little bit.
There, a screenwriter probably did want to take a serious approach to the matter, and maybe there is a serious version of that script, but then they just, studios like, there's only one way we're going to do this. It's got to be comedy. Fix the script to be comedy. I truthfully, I think that would be such a brave movie. Another version I was thinking of. Imagine if like Baz Luhrmann did
Baz Luhrmann.
That's what I said. Imagine
I want that to be my name.
Baz
Luhrmann. You said it wrong.
But that version is a epic musical set within a reality land, or Dancer in the Dark.
I really don't like Baz Luhrmann, or Baz, or however you say it, as a director, but it's not the worst place to aim.
Who's the
Baz Luhrmann? It's also not the most like inspired.
Who's the Dogma 93 guy?
I don't know what the fuck that is.
Did Bjork's movie Dancer in the Dark?
I love that movie, Kids. Though that's one of my very favorite movies. So
excellent.
Lars von Trier.
Okay.
If Lars von Trier did, heck, if John Waters did To Wong Foo.
Oh, if John Waters did anything, I'm fucking all over it. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many versions of this movie that could have been made.
Wow, Ian, you're really you're hitting more often than you're not tonight. I really like the Hugh Jackman one. I really like the John Waters version.
I'll be honest, I have always viewed this movie as one of the most brave films that ever came out. I mean, it really, if you think, I mean, if this came out in 2014, I think it would have been just kind of another movie. But the fact that this was in the 90s, and the fact that Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes and John Leguizamo, all three of them have said in interviews, like, we didn't take it as a comedy. We took it very seriously. These characters were funny.
Well, people don't realize, comedy doesn't get its credit either. Like, comedy, people act like you're just fucking, telling dick and fart jokes, but comedy is a lot harder than people realize acting-wise.
Yeah.
Your timing's got to be absolutely impeccably precise. And, it's like horror, too. Horror doesn't get enough credit. Horror is very hard to act, Horror is maybe the hardest thing to act, So, like, I think drama, honestly, just straight drama is a little bit easier than people think of acting-wise. Not to say that there aren't greats who elevate, their work and all that, but, like, it's there on the page, There's, with comedy, there's a it's almost more open to the actor's interpretation, maybe.
Can we just give John Leguizamo the Oscar now, though? Like, just give him the Oscar. Just I don't care what he does. It could be
what about Snipes? I mean, I think... you said you had issues with his performance. I don't. I really think
I don't have issues. No, it's not that I don't have issues with it. It's just at the time I watched it, it was Passenger 57. I couldn't see. Now I see what he's doing. Now I see what all three of them are doing. I mean, Patrick Swayze, like, at first you can't get past it's Patrick Swayze, but as the movie goes on, you go, oh, like that becomes a character. Like that, like there you lose the fact that it's these three guys who you've seen in all these movies. And their characters kind of come to be.
Honestly,
You're
like,
thinking it's Patrick Swayze by the end.
this is one of the first performances I saw for all three of these men.
Oh,
Wow.
So this is like how I see them, like for everything.
So when you
They're-
watch Ghost, you see Vita, and when you watch, Blade, you see Noxema.
when you watch Spawn, you see Chi-Chi.
yeah, let's just
Spawn.
assume I'm watching all those movies.
Yeah, he's probably actually exactly not watching any of those movies.
I'm not
I know.
watching any of the films that you guys just listed.
Yes, I
I'm
know.
watching
I know. Well, I know
Spawn,
about it well
man.
enough.
But when I'm
Come on.
watching Spawn with Legs with the
Spawn.
Leguizamo, I'm seeing Chichi Rodriguez.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Ah.
If you ever watched Carlito's Way, you wouldn't see Benny Blanco from the Bronx. You'd see Chi-Chi. Goddamn, we gotta get some De Palma movies going on this show.
I don't disagree with you on that one, but
we
yeah,
really,
no,
really
it's,
do.
I think that something about though that idea that it still needs to be a travel movie, but having those two honoring the memory of Patrick Swayze, because like I don't always like when movies do that, but I also this would be a reason to honor Patrick Swayze's not here anymore. And if they're dealing with a lot of those contemporary issues and the, or even if it's the, hey, we spent all those years, going through all the chaos just for nowadays for it to be accepted now. And, I know a lot of people deal with that concept sometimes of like, this is what we had to do in 1995, getting bottles thrown at me. And now you're just kind of taking you're just taking it for granted. Though a lot of those themes, if they had to go through that in the movie, I think that would be a really fascinating thing. And it has to be Michelle Pfeiffer. Like it has to be.
I kind of think it sort of has to be Michelle Pfeiffer. I think that's the one. Yeah, I think yeah. I mean, Hugh Jackman. I think you nailed that too. And if you were going with an all new cast, obviously it'd be hard to not just pick like the ones that everyone loves, the sweethearts right now, with Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. Obviously they just dominated with Deadpool, and I feel like they'd actually both be pretty good in those roles. And I know you love Robert Downey, not to make it the whitest movie ever though, of course.
What was it the one that Eddie Red I can never say his last name.
Eddie Redmayne?
Yeah, what he did, didn't he do something girl?
I don't know. I think you're talking about the Stephen Hawking's movie.
Danish Girl, right? Where a couple years ago, he did that, and everybody was in uproar that they cast him in that role, and even he has come out and said, "I'm so sorry I did that."
Well, didn't Jeffrey Tambor?
Wait, what, Bobby?
I said that's a true story. That movie's crazy.
Yeah. But even he apologized. He said, I shouldn't have done the role. Should have been actually somebody going through that actual thing. So there's
didn't Jeffrey Tambor and Louis Anderson, like at the end of their runs, sort of do roles that were
the Louis Anderson on Baskets, was playing the mom, but he was playing. Well, the difference is Tambor was doing it as an actual like transitioning.
Okay.
But Louis Anderson did it as I'm just the mother. Like it wasn't it
wasn't okay.
The plot story wasn't dealing with it. It was just Louis Anderson being mom.
I love Louis Anderson.
Kind of like Linda Hunt with the whole Year of Living Dangerously. It just happened to be a woman was in the role of a man, and that was the best actor for the role, kind of thing.
Oh, okay. That went over my head a little bit. I don't think I've seen the Year of Living
Study
Dangerously.
film history. God dang it, man.
Well, yeah, had to snob over me a little bit.
Yes, I did.
Bobby's more likely to have seen that one than I am. I think it's a little more.
Wait, I think I recognize the name Linda Hunt. I might be wrong. Oh, she was in She-Devil.
Oh, well, there you go. That's a fucking cinematic gem right
I
there.
hate that our existence is knowing the movie She Devil. God dang it,
Well,
Roseanne, you used to be
My
funny.
friend.
What
That was
happened,
the
Roseanne?
Susan Seidelman.
so because we have a sec, who would direct this movie nowadays?
Who directed it nowadays back then?
The name I forget. It was kind of a weird one to pronounce.
Uh,
If
honestly, that's where I think hire Laverne Cox, because Laverne Cox has been directing episodes of TV and that's who I would hire.
you could do worse. You could definitely do worse.
I don't see a version of this being directed by Tim Burton. Or something like that.
If it was directed by Sofia Coppola, it would be very softly like.
That's the serious one I'm talking about. Like that.
So director of the original's name is Biban Kidron. Sorry, that's why I had to look it up because I knew I wasn't gonna fucking remember that correctly. But yeah, so not exactly the biggest name director in town. But I was just curious if you guys, had a stab or someone you were like, oh, I want James Gunn to do this, or I want fucking Oliver Stone to do it. Or,
James Gunn, that would not be the right approach to this.
Well, obviously not the right fucking approach, but that's why I threw ridiculous names out there, like Oliver Stone, come on. It's one of my favorite directors ever, but not exactly one you would think of to tackle this material. I think John Waters, though. I think,
America needs you now. Where are you? Come back.
Please come back from Russia.
Back
Oliver
to the
Stone.
five and dime. Oliver Stone.
Get your head out of Putin's ass, and that's the guy who should have made the fucking Reagan movie is Oliver Stone, not whoever the fuck the guy who did fucking Space Babies 3 or some shit.
I
don't even know. I'm telling you, that's probably that's probably a fucking thing. Super babies in space or some shit. But
I just think I love that this movie's out in this world. I mean, I really honestly
I do too.
And this movie, when it came out, I was not successful, but this is a movie that's lasted. I mean, this is a cult classic now. I mean,
people know what it is,
They all know. Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, even if you haven't seen the movie, you know the title of the movie because it's such a wild title.
Yes.
And the best thing that ever happened to Julie Newmar.
I mean, it's keeping her relevant. She still looks amazing. She still looks great.
Good for her.
Well, before we wrap it up, is there anything you guys have got going on you want to let the home audience know about?
Stay tuned. Just recently we did a B movie challenge for the film. What was it? I don't even remember now. Oh, Killing American Style.
Oh yeah, that one.
80s action
really
movie with Robert Zadar. Or
Zadar.
Tomatoes.
Legend of Zadar. Come on.
Leave me alone. But also stay tuned now for a newer version of B movie challenge to come out soon for the Roger Corman classic She Gods of Shark Reef.
Wow, that sounds rather fantastic. I would definitely eat that up.
No, you wouldn't, because it's an awful movie. Great poster, terrible movie.
That's exactly the kind of thing that I like to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, mind you. But I guess it's time for me to say that you Fandom fans might want to tune in next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when Zoltar grants Ian's Tom Hanks wishes for our big episode. As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help us is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.